I think we can start, sir.
Is I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Let me start. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ELTAI webinar series number 117, titled as Exploring Teachers' Perspectives and Experiences. I am Dr. Ram Kishan Desai, the National Joint Secretary for ELTAI, is the host for today's engaging session. Today we have a resource person, Dr. Bornali Buyan. He is a professor in Royal School of Languages, Department of English, Assam Royal Global University. We have moderator Nayan Jyoti Hazarika. He is an assistant professor, Dulijan College, Dulijan, and all my participants. I welcome you all once again. So there are some instructions for the participants. Okay. So stay tuned for the information about webinars in this series, and we will reveal the details towards the end of today's session. Miss out. We are going to share with you all the poster of the next conference. Before we proceed, a quick reminder to all participants: make sure to fill out the Google form shared in the chat to receive your certificate of attendance at the end. The link will be provided at the end of our session. Your feedback matters, and after the session, we will share the feedback form. And we appreciate your insights and suggestions to enhance the future webinars. Now, let us kick off the event by watching a short video from the ELTAI. Uh, it is a promotional video about the ELTAI. So video, you will come to know about the aims and objective of the ELTAI. What is the ELTAI? So I request Mr. Kevin to play the video.
Ram, sir.
Sorry for the technical delay. So, I hope I'm audible now, Kevin.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Very
sir,
much.
you are audible.
Okay. So our goal today is to explore the diverse insight and experiences of teachers in the field. So I encourage active participation and I urge you to post your questions in the chat box and we will address them during the question and Q&A session. So first I want to introduce the moderator for today's session. So without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed moderator for the today's webinar, Mr. Nayan Jyoti Hazarika. So he is a senior faculty member in the Department of English at Dulijan College, Dulijan. He is having 14 years of teaching experience and he is well versed in the teaching both English language and literature. His research interest includes the post-colonial studies, Northeast literature, ELT. So now I request I hand over these sessions to Mr. Nayan Jyoti Hazarika, the moderator for today's webinar.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes,
sir,
sir, you are audible, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ramkishan. It is indeed an honor for me to be here as a moderator of the session. Good evening, esteemed participants. I once again welcome you all to this ELTAI webinar. We have among us Professor Dr. Bornali Bhuya, the resource person for today's webinar. She will be delivering her talk on the topic, webinars, exploring teachers' perspectives and experiences. The topic seems quite interesting. Before our resource person, ma'am, delivers her talk, I would like to introduce her to our esteemed participants. Dr. Bornali Bhuya is a professor of English at the prestigious Assam Royal Global University. She has nearly 3 decades of dedicated teaching experience in imparting knowledge in both English language and literature. Her career includes collaboration with students and educators across diverse domains. A prolific researcher, she has contributed significantly to the literary landscape with multiple publications. Notably, her focus on teaching reading skills to tertiary level learners reflects her dedication to fostering a profound understanding of language. Professor Bhuya's passion extends to exploring academic research opportunities, particularly in the evolving post-pandemic educational landscape. We feel privileged to have Professor Bhuya among us. Now I request our research person, ma'am, to deliver her talk. Ma'am, please. The floor is all yours. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes,
you're
sir,
very
you
much
are
audible.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. I welcome all the participants. I can see they're still entering the meet. And I warmly thank ELTAI for giving me this opportunity to be part of this webinar. This is a Sunday afternoon, pre-Christmas. That is why I'm in red. And one day in a week, all of us get to rest. And I have pulled all of you out on a Sunday afternoon to listen to a webinar. That is why my topic today is about a webinar. It is not a very intellectual or very deep topic, but it is something we really need to look at before we proceed further into hundreds of webinars that we attend almost every day. Before we begin this webinar, I would like to share a small story with you. Ultimately, all of us language and literature teachers are storytellers. Post-pandemic, yes, that is right. But when the pandemic was going on, we were all at a junction where we didn't know what to do. So I had this brilliant idea of taking gardening as one of my hobbies. And I, with a lot of enthusiasm, went out to my little garden one day and planted a lot of tomato seeds. I was armed with the knowledge of thinking that I had a lot of green fingers on both my hands. And so we were all excited, and one fine day, the harvest day came. Everyone was looking forward to seeing ripe tomatoes in my garden. You know what came? Surprise, surprise. Those seeds were not tomato seeds. They turned out to be fiery red king chilies, which we call bhut jolokia in this part of the country. Many of you must be knowing what bhut jolokia is. It is fiery, it is hot, and the chilies that are amazingly hot. So that surprise, the fiery surprise, till today is a family joke for all of us here in my family. Why I told you this small story is that let us begin the Sunday afternoon webinar, not on a dry note, but on a fiery note full of passion, so that at the end of the webinar, I want to see the chat box also with shared experiences of similar anecdotes in your lives, so that we can begin Christmas with a lot of laughter and insights and knowledge. I welcome you all once more to this webinar. I'll be sharing my PPT with you, but do not expect everything on the PPT to have what I'm going to say. So this is more of a personal discussion. I am personalizing this webinar because that is the one big thing that came to me from all teachers, that we need more personal connect, the emotional connect. And I too believe that is important for all of us. Since today's topic is not about a lot of input about knowledge, so we need to stay connected in the chat box. Since we cannot speak, I think Kevin has instructed me we're not supposed to speak to each other. So, but please stay connected. Please enjoy the webinar. If you have anything, any inputs, I will be warmly looking forward to all your inputs, all your questions, all your comments. Everything need not be only questions. There can be also comments. There can be more inputs, and there can be more sharing. This webinar is about sharing. It is not only about knowledge. It is about all of you are here teachers. So please share more experiences. This is a very short webinar, so this is not where we can share so many things. So please do share what you feel, what stories you have, what kind of comments you have, what insights you can give us, so that we all grow together. So I am going to share my PPT now, but in between I'll be speaking extempo. So please don't expect a PPT to have everything that I'm going to say. Can everyone see?
Yes, ma'am.
It's visible full screen, Kevin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So, webinars exploring teachers' perspectives and experiences. So my topic today is on webinars. The Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary 2010 defines a webinar as a live online educational presentation in which participating viewers can submit questions and comments. The term webinar is relatively still new in the field of education. This is a combination of web and seminar. Here I would like to put in a few words about all of us who have attended so many seminars till today and how we shifted from seminar mode to webinar mode it was a seamless shifting, but without actually, most of us are not very we are not very aware of what is a seminar and what is a webinar till today. This is not because we did not delve into it. It is because we felt that it is something that came to us so easily. So we just went into from seminar to webinar mode without actually knowing a few of the small details that need to be kept in mind as we proceed. So in a broader sense, webinars are not restricted to online seminars only. They are not only online seminars, they also include meetings, conferences, demonstrations, training, teaching, events that are designed to give information either one way or interactively. So webinar in one sense is a much wider, it has a much wider audience, much wider perspectives than a seminar where we gather in one place, but we cannot move from one place to another as in a webinar we can do. The theory of the 3I framework typically stands for inform, instruct, inspire. This really works for a webinar because in this theory can be beneficial for structuring a webinar where participants can be offered opportunities to interact with audios, videos, and related live interactions. While I am still on this, a little bit of the background of what a webinar is, let me tell you that most of the teachers that I interacted with during this survey, I found that most of them are still today not yet clear about what is a webinar, not yet clear about what is the difference between a webinar and a seminar. That is why I'm going into a little bit of the background before we go into what the teachers shared with us. One of the latest developments among many computer-mediated communication system, CMC, is a webinar. There are three formats for webinar session delivery. One is presenter versus multiple participants from one side, like I'm doing now. Presenter versus multiple participants from multiple sides, like I'm doing now. Multiple participants from one side versus multiple participants, one or more or multiple sides, which we're not doing now. So in a traditional setup, the communication is generally one way with a teacher, participants, model of lecture, where the focus is more on the lecture than on interaction or audiovisual augmentation of the content. This creates a huge gap in the content and clarity of knowledge. A shift from traditional teaching to technology-based education is therefore necessary to attract participants towards webinars. It is a superior digital learning tool. Here, let me again add a few more words, like when we are into a webinar, we are engrossed for that 1 hour or more on a digital learning tool, on the digital platform, which becomes a facilitator. This product, the webinar, is the facilitator of this change from the physical seminars to a online learning tool. It's a very superior digital learning tool, which probably many of us yet are able to understand the whole concept of what a webinar is. So videos, audios, textual communications are essential features of any webinar. Added to those are certain characteristics which are important in any webinar portal. Some of the prominent ones being sharing application, chat window, call up option. You can read this, it is right in front of you. So right now, just before I began this webinar, we had a sharing by Kevin of the promotional video. It was attractive, it had music in it, and it was exactly what I wanted to show you. So I thank you, Kevin, for letting that into this webinar, because that is exactly what I wanted to show my participants, that is what attracts us. The entire usage of all technology in one window where we are all watching it together brings us all together. So these are some of the applications, essential features of a webinar, and these are some of the links that participants need to join. Zoom, Google Hangouts, Meet. We are in a Meet now. Team Link, WebEx, GoToMeeting, and others. These are some of the widely used software which have both free and paid versions available. Basic things everyone needs in a webinar is a computer, laptop, tablet, or smartphone with a pair of headphones and microphones. And of course, the most important thing we all need to attend a webinar is time. Once joined, the participant will find themselves in a virtual classroom or a meeting room, as we are in now. We are all in a virtual classroom or a meeting room. Let's call it a meeting room rather than a classroom. Being a teacher, I always tend to talk about everyone as if we are in a classroom. So the teacher or educator will deliver a lecture while the other members can raise points or ask questions through the hand-raising function and chat box as provided in the software. Our host has just now told all of you that you can use the chat box to put in whatever questions you want. So webinars can also be recorded and referenced at a later time. This is a very important, very important function and useful function of a webinar, is that it can be recorded, useful. You can go back to it. You can review the session. You can learn something more. So if you are in a hurry, many teachers have said that they record it and keep it. So this function is extremely different, new, and something so useful for all of us, because if you attend a physical seminar, I'm sorry, nothing can be recorded there except maybe some of the lectures, but the entire feel of the seminar and entire lectures are not that well recorded or cannot be accessed immediately. But in a webinar, the recording is completely different. It is something that is like buying a good book. It is there for your use whenever, wherever you are. You can always access it. It also enables a participant to interact with other participants across the world. We have, I think, right now, a lot of participants in this webinar on a Sunday afternoon, and each of them are able to interact. I have seen just now that many are saying good afternoon, good evening, talking to each other. So that is a huge advantage a webinar has, when a large and heterogeneous audience can participate in it without having to leave their desks or homes. All of you are somewhere in your own homes, maybe outside, maybe at places where you are accessing this webinar. So this webinar itself is an example of what I'm trying to tell you about. So in this platform, neither the speaker nor the participant needs to be present physically at the hosting venue. Therefore, a greater chance of availability of resource persons is an advantage of a webinar over physical seminars. Added to that, it also allows real-time multimedia demonstrations and is also eco-friendly. There are multiple reasons regarding the need to include webinars as an important educational tool. A basic literature review on a webinar is also important here, which I have not put on the PPT. The term webinar, someone might ask me at the end of the webinar that where did this term come from? So this was introduced in 1998 only. It is only in 1998 it was first introduced by Eric R. Korb 2000. So the term webinar. And then there are related many other experts who have shown a positive shown the positive impact of webinars on learning performance. Then experience in using of webinars has been carried out, research has been carried out. Then all the developing nations and developed nations and other nations across the world have been using this tool to enhance the interaction of teaching and learning in blended environments. Blended environments, like someone might physically be present when we have a online faculty development program, maybe, but in a webinar, there is no physical. There is no way a person can be present physically. So just-in-time learning is provided, strengthens social presence of all the participants, and basically a webinar is a very, very important educational tool. So now let us come to my actual webinar experience of teachers' perspectives and experiences. So this shift from actual seminars to the internet-mediated webinar format has changed how teachers access opportunities for continuous learning. Let us look at teachers who are working across our country today. We are now immediately looking at our country. They are working so hard. They are working with students. They are working with learning. They are trying to upgrade themselves. They are continuously working. So in the middle of such a busy schedule, they hardly get time to sit down. They hardly get time to take some time for themselves. So if the opportunity of a webinar comes across them, where in the span of 1 hour, let us just take 60 minutes for a webinar, it has become very necessary as teachers, for teachers, as they look for alternative ways to develop their knowledge. So this is how they are multitasking. They have this webinar on their desk, they are attending to it, they're listening to it, and where they're not able to listen to it, the recorded version is always there for them to go back to. So the purpose of the study was to explore the learning experiences of the teachers who attended webinars. It was found that most teachers participated in webinars relating to teaching strategies. This was a very important knowledge to the researcher, that teaching strategies is something that really interests teachers nowadays. They want to know how to teach better. So that is a very interesting thing to know, and that is a very important thing for us to know, that teachers are trying to upgrade themselves not only in content knowledge, but also in strategies on how to teach better. Content knowledge, of course, is there. They always attended webinars relating to content knowledge, then the teaching profession, and of course, general knowledge, more than subject-related webinars. Subject-related webinars are now becoming a little, has taken a sideline, because now teachers want to be all-rounders. They want to be part of everything. They are no longer looking at only improving in their own subject. They want to have more general knowledge about generally everything around them that is they can relate back to their own teaching. It was also revealed by these teachers that these teachers expected to gain relevant knowledge and skills to become better educators. Therein lies the crux of the entire research. They want to become better educators. This was huge knowledge. The teachers shared their experiences in acquiring knowledge, skills, and emotional content in their actual participation in the webinars. The teacher's central purpose of attending webinars is to gain understanding of the topic, improve the quality of their teaching, and plus a webinar presented to them an opportunity to expand teacher training programs to produce better educators. An important factor that the teachers in this survey shared is that the teacher-student, this was something that most of the teachers with me, that teacher-student ratio is not satisfactory in India in the present times after inclusion of the CBCS choice-based credit system in different colleges and universities of India. These were the reasons they gave. The teachers are of the infrastructural shortfall has become extremely prominent nowadays. The teachers are of the opinion that the number of effective teaching days are being reduced as they are more engaged in tasks like Making question papers takes away a lot of time. Invigilating duties, checking the answer script, submitting the marks and portal, organizing events, presentation, classroom seminars, etc. All this takes away so much of their teaching days that they are now at a loss. They don't know. The infrastructure in their own institutes are failing them and they don't know what to do. So the only way they can improve themselves, they said, was to turn to webinars. Teachers also shared the concern regarding the multiple number of choices being offered and the huge demand for classrooms, which is sadly not being fulfilled in most of the institutions. We cannot expect across the country that every college, every school, every institute is going to have a large number of classrooms available for the number of choices that are being offered today. So under such some circumstances, web-based classes and webinars may be an option. This is what the teacher shared with me to complement the classroom teaching and in many ways maybe reduce the infrastructure load of an institution. Please think about this. Please understand this and please try to get back in the chat box regarding these comments. Another concern expressed was that there are different places in India which are prone to various kinds of natural disasters, like the annual floods in Assam. Assam now, recently, I think I read in the newspapers today, has been marked that the natural disaster that comes annually to Assam are the annual floods. They are devastating. So likewise, south of India also has, Kerala has, many places have got natural disasters, storms, and many other natural disasters are there that come annually. I mean, I'm not talking about something that happens suddenly. It is something that we know it's going to be there. So a number of teaching learning days are lost each year due to these disasters, as students and teachers find it unable to reach their educational institutes. During such times, online mode of teaching can provide a way out, but provided the internet connection remains smooth. That is another story about the internet connection. But a webinar is very useful at such times. So in a country with disparate infrastructural facilities, access to resources, diversity of academic ecology, excuse me, I just got a notification, so I was just reading that, sorry. So diversity of, am I audible to all of you, Kevin?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So Google just sent me a message, so I got diverted again. So diversity of academic ecology and geographic vulnerabilities like India, webinars can play a role of a great leveler. So here we are across a country where we are unable to just rush across and meet each other, or we need a lot of planning if we have a seminar to meet, and it is also very expensive. Let us not forget the expense factor here. But webinars are free access to, most webinars are free access to knowledge, free access to meeting people, listening to people across the world. That is a kind of it's a huge thing when we look at it. So this is something we need to look at very seriously. In fact, webinars help in the democratization of educational resources in India. One of the reasons is that it helps in a seamless transfer of resources from one institution or scholar to another or many, irrespective of their places of location. So this is about the survey I did. After a webinar, it's illustration from a survey, questionnaires were distributed among the participating teachers. The basic concept of a webinar was explained at the beginning of the questionnaire for understanding of those who were still uninitiated into this concept. Let us not forget that there are many teachers who are still not able to understand the concept of a webinar. It is not their fault. It is because of access to webinars are not available in many places because of failing internet connections. So a Google form was created to collect responses so the teachers could respond to the form even from their mobile phones or tablets. This is actually a concept of snowball sampling, Goodman 1961. It helped in fast inflow of data from various respondents. However, some questionnaires were filled offline also. So random sampling and snowball sampling was used to collect data in a very short time span from 15 June 2023 to 31st August 2023. I received a total of 276 responses from teachers to online and offline modes. The original names of the respondents, institutions, and mail identifications are not disclosed here to maintain confidentiality. So basic information regarding the knowledge about a webinar. This is very basic. These are teachers who are talking to me. So one response came from a teacher. I'm still confused about the full use of a webinar in terms of learning and improving myself as a teacher. But in our career progress, it is an important addition. So this is exactly what I am looking at, that in terms of progressing in a teacher's career, progress in a teacher's career is considered very important for every teacher, of course. But the confusion here is that I am attending a webinar so that I get a certificate, which is going to be very important for me to progress in my career. Think about this. Please think about this. Response number 2, I do find webinars interesting, but seminars are more interactive, more immediate responses are there, and the sharing experience with participants gives us a lot of useful inputs. So that means I'm still not moving away from a seminar. That is good, actually. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's good. It's wonderful to meet people we all like to meet people, but the concepts are two different concepts. I am maintaining, maybe I'm the only person who's going to maintain that seminar and webinar are not blended into one word. They're two completely different things. We have to think about that also. We keep on saying that, I also began this webinar by saying that from seminar, it has become webinar. Only the words are similar, but meanings are totally different. Because if you are very interested in a seminar, you please still retain that interest. But a webinar is completely different. We need to understand the difference. Response number 3, I feel webinars are the easy way out. Just listen to this response. I put only a few of them so that we are looking at them. Most of us can easily switch off our cameras and come back later to complete the required time and get the e-certificates. This is a big one. This is a big one where a teacher is saying, a teacher of a reputed institute is saying, I'm not revealing anyone's names here because that is not important, of course, that teachers can easily switch off the cameras, let the webinar run on whatever mode it is running, laptop, phone, desktop, wherever, and come back later after other tasks are completed, complete the required time, and then put in whatever is needed in the chat box to get the e-certificates. This is very, very huge. Why is this happening? We'll come to that later. So response number 4, webinars are useful if we can take them on according to our own interest areas. We get information at our convenience and get the opportunity to listen to knowledgeable people across the country and international too. So this is what I felt was a teacher who understood what is a webinar. Not randomly attending every webinar because I need that certificate. No, she or he is telling us that get information at our convenience, get the opportunity to listen to knowledgeable people across the country and international too. So selecting of webinars, which ones to attend, becomes a very useful mode. Ranking of factors for preferring webinars over a seminar. Again, from teachers, a random selection of responses are selected here in no particular order. So this is why the teachers said they want to attend webinars rather than go to a seminar. Great accessibility of resource persons, which we all agree. Able to attend a live lecture from a convenient location. Recording facilities available, eco-friendly. Reduces scarcity of teachers. Interactive. Reduces transport costs. This was something that was repeatedly coming in all the responses, that the cost of attending a seminar, which is not in the same place, buying tickets, spending money, because institutes are not going to support the finance of the entire travel finance, staying finance. Some part is given, but it is not possible for everything. And plus getting leave, that is another thing. A large number of participants can attend a webinar, sorry, and it saves a lot of time. These were important inputs. Just 4 feedback takeaways I thought were important. A webinar is a better learning tool. A webinar can reduce the scarcity of teachers. Inclusion of webinars in regular higher education should be considered. Incorporating webinars in distance education is a great idea. Better learning tool, we have already discussed it. Can reduce the scarcity of teachers, we have already discussed it. So webinars in regular higher education should be considered. So let's think about this. Should there be a particular space for webinars in all our higher education syllabi that is being designed? There should be a particular space that webinars are going to become compulsory for teachers, for students. Let's think about that. Incorporating webinars in distant education is a great idea, which is already there, I think, and is also a very great idea. It observed, sorry, there's a mistake here. So it has been observed that most of the teachers that I communicated with confirmed that they found attending a webinar enjoyable and enlightening when monotony was eliminated. Let's look at this word monotony. So if we are going to deliver a lecture and we keep on speaking continuously and there are no icebreakers in between, it becomes monotonous. So monotony could be defined in several ways. So we need to think about it as presenters, that where is it that we are becoming monotonous? I don't know, I may be becoming monotonous today. I need you all to let me know in the chat box, because that is the first thing that has to be eliminated, because teachers found that webinars are enjoyable and enlightening when monotony was eliminated. Attractive picturization was included in the presentation. This is another very important thing, that we think that only children like pictures. It's not that. It's not that. It's that teachers also want to see more of attractive pictures, picture presentations, rather than only words. Videos were included. This is a very important part of a good webinar, where teachers are learning through including videos in the presentation, which is related to the content that is being taught. Learning happened on it. If all these things are there, teachers felt that learning happened on a lively note. Now, the emotional connect experiences of teachers. Teacher number 1 said, we enjoy when the resource person shares personal anecdotes. Teacher number 2 said, the resource person becomes a real person when she speaks in a personal manner once in a while, which works as an icebreaker. Teacher number 3 said, I find a webinar is fulfilling when challenges and group discussions are also included. So we need to really think about all this social, emotional learning of teachers. They cannot be all the time only, teachers are human beings. They cannot be only professionals and only learning and only learning and only learning. They need to enjoy the learning part. So to enjoy the learning part, they become, in a webinar, all the teachers, they become students. So we need to look as presenters, that are we looking at only professional people sitting in front of us, or are we looking at human beings? So this was the emotional experiences that the teachers shared via the Google form. So teachers' focus areas, what are they looking for? They're looking for content delivery, of course, number 1, because content is very important. Good interaction. Number 2, many of them said that the webinar ended, there was no time, and at the end we had given questions and we got nothing out of it. So that is very important. Good engagement. They're engaged in what is being said. Clear communication. Many teachers said I was not able to understand most of the things that were being said because the teacher was going very fast. The presenter, the resource person went too fast. Technology management has to be good. In this, I'm myself not very good, so I cannot really vouch for this, but I am still learning. So the emotional connect, we also say, and feedback is important, feedback. Teachers also responded by giving feedback on a webinar being truly fruitful because they could apply the knowledge gained in various professional and personal work areas too. So let us look at this once more. Feedback of the teachers came saying that not only knowledge was gained, was applied in professional areas, but in personal work areas too. So that, sort of, again, makes us think a lot. This is my personal experience after attending a webinar on English language teaching. I'm hiding all the names here. This is my own experience. I straight away connected with the resource person. She was clear, spoke slowly, and gave us enough time to understand the topic under discussion. She never rushed or tried to put in too much content into the allotted time. She also made sure that we were taking back at least a large chunk of what she had spoken on. None of us wished that webinar to end. This is my own personal experience after attending a webinar on English language teaching from my own state. And this is what I brought back with me. It was with me, and I'm sharing with you. So the results of this webinar shows that most of the participants had not experienced a webinar in its true sense before, and also a large number of participants responded that the webinar is only meant for earning an e-certificate. Later, the questionnaire was sent among different teachers, students, scholars, and to all those who were related to higher academics, irrespective of attendance of a webinar. Many responses from urban as well as rural areas confirmed that online webinars, YouTube, for educational purposes are beneficial for them and can be made more interesting by including more interactive lectures, more live video sharing where needed, more sharing of picture lectures where needed, etc. This proves that there is a demand for online interactive lectures among the teaching community of India. We have seen that computer access, previous experience of attending webinars, and access to YouTube are three factors that strongly influence the decision with higher significance regarding whether a webinar is a good educational tool or not. This decision is independent of other factors. Those teacher participants who have attended webinars on an average responded that the webinar is a better learning tool, but those who are not experienced with webinars did not understand the proper utility of it as an educational tool. We can say that the stream of education, computer access, locality of the participants, webinars attended are strongly dependent on the decision whether a webinar can reduce the scarcity of a teacher or not and increase the knowledge base of the teachers. The analysis of the simple project shows that most participants are interested in attending some interactive online lectures, but the interaction between the teacher or presenter and the students is restricted only in the form of a message as a comment or live chat only. There are drawbacks. Let us remember that. Face-to-face interaction is required to clear doubts and get proper knowledge. In this direction, a webinar is a good educational tool. This enables participants to interact face-to-face through a computer or mobile in real time, and therefore is much more effective in imparting knowledge. In India, a large number of webinars are being conducted every day, but most of them need more interactive sessions, and imparting of knowledge must be concise, precise, and brevity has to be maintained. The results suggest that the opinion of the teacher participants regarding the usefulness and viability of a webinar is to be taken very seriously. Let us take what the teachers have said very seriously. It has been noted that teacher participants responded to the survey have positive attitude towards various aspects of a webinar, but also skeptical regarding the following roadblocks. These are some of the roadblocks that the teachers perceived. Some teachers feel that many young generation teachers are well equipped in handling the technical aspect of a webinar, while the older generation is yet to understand the utility of online lectures. Institutional infrastructure is another key factor for teachers. Availability of the resource person factor in favor of webinars. This is the prime factor. The teachers prefer a webinar because of the resource person who is available easily. Since the resource persons need not go to the lecture venue, the probability of accessibility is high, and attending quality lectures from Eminent academicians all over the world is attractive. Different webinar softwares have inbuilt process to record. Attending a lecture from the convenient location is very useful. Interactive nature is useful and an attractive feature. Videos are attractive features, plus time-saving, eco-friendly are also preferable indicators. Overall, significant excerpts from teachers' sharing is given below. On gaining additional learning from attending webinars and supplementary skills, I expected to learn from the webinar because the learners needs to know how to deliver instruction and how to facilitate my knowledge to impart quality teachings. These are some of the things that the teacher shared with us. Gaining of knowledge, gaining of wisdom, being helped in a specific discipline, then teachers teaching from say from 1 to 5 years, or new teachers, let's talk of new teachers attending webinars to learn from the speakers or trainers. Then a general concept of a broad range of concepts have been that generally interest him. These are the things that the new teacher said. General knowledge, ideas, then objective of the webinar should be webinar. Then teachers who have taught for 6 to 10 years are expected to learn general specific knowledge. So these are some of the things the teachers shared. I expected to be acquainted with or learn about particular topics. I expected to know about learning in different learning modalities. I expected to learn or acquire something new and relevant to mine. These are the expectations of the teachers. Some of the expectations were fulfilled, some were not. The challenges in front of us today: unavailability of sufficiently trained teachers to deliver the lectures, lack of well-equipped, technically sound institutions to receive the webinars, inadequate number of computers in workplace, poor internet accessibility, paid software not always provided by the institutions, discontinued flow of electricity. In many areas, this is a huge thing. Maybe for not us who are in cities, but for many areas, this is a very big thing. Timings of online webinars often clash with teachers' classes and other work. This is something that every teacher sort of, shared. The awareness of webinars in the society and not getting time off from workplace to attend webinars. No one gets time off to attend a webinar unless a lot of, you have to go, like on a Sunday, you're okay, I'm okay. Like everyone is free. But all webinars don't happen like that. So those are the webinars where the teacher said that we just leave them on and then we switch them off later and then we go back to them in the recorded mode. So one drawback of this webinar today that I am delivering is that the survey is brief and local. In the future, it is required to consider all the universities and colleges across the country in a large and exhaustive survey. This will be a time-consuming project, but will definitely help us all understand where we stand, how we need to go about improving in this area. Efficiency of webinars in various states can be easily accessed through such a research, and hopefully this webinar today will definitely prompt many of you to look at this from the research point of view. Wish you all a lovely Sunday evening. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I am open to anything that I try to, sort of keep in some time for the question answer session. So I'm open to anything that may come up.
It's really an engaging session, ma'am. We have rightly pointed out the advantages of webinars about physical seminars, how webinars can become a better education tool, how webinars can complement the traditional, the conventional teaching and learning method. Very engaging, ma'am. I can see a lot of comments, questions on the chat box. I would like to take a few questions.
Yes, please.
Okay. First question is from the organizing team. It's a very interesting question. The question is, how can teachers address challenges related to technology access and digital literacy disparities among students in a webinar-based learning environment? There's so many challenges, ma'am, and how the teachers can address those challenges. related to technology access.
Yes. So that is one thing that teachers have been sharing with me too. And the only thing that I want to tell you, I may be today here in this presentation, maybe the oldest person today. Let us take it like that. But when it comes to technology, it is something that we have to move towards learning on our own. We need to push. We need to think about it as something that we need to learn now. You won't believe it that I've been calling up Kevin so many times that, Kevin, please teach me this, please teach me that. So I hope today Kevin will say that, ma'am, you did all right and it was okay. So in technology, there is no such thing like we know everything. So if we want our students to learn, I am telling you, they know more than us. I'm really telling you that they know more than us. So what we need to do is that give them access, let them take it in their hands, and they are going to teach us. We learn from them. They are the generation who knows more than us. So we learn from them, and that way we all progress.
Yes, ma'am.
That is what I think, that technology is something that the new generation comes to them easily.
Yes.
Don't ask me how. So it is better for us to ask them rather to teach them technology. We are not equipped to teach technology to the young generation. We are here to learn from them and to of knowledge with us, technology with them, and we can progress like that.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Can I take one more question, ma'am?
Yes, of course.
It's a very interesting question. The question is like that. What can be done to keep the participants engaged and involved in attending the webinar attentively?
I've been speaking about that again and again, and I hope all the participants will join in saying that we need that to be engaged, we have to keep the interest going. We need to personally connect with them a little bit. Sometimes certain topics are such that we are not able to, there may be a lot of knowledge inputs there, but we still need, and this is something I learned from my own state, from my own university, Guwahati University, my own mentors there, and they are people who taught me this, that we need to keep that ice-breaking sessions in between, which, sort of, keeps, if you have small sessions in between of ice-breaking sessions, they kind of, bring them all together. This is something that I learned from Professor Anita Tamuli. I don't mind saying her name. Very good friend of mine, Professor Padmini Barua. Then, of course, Professor Jyoti Tamuli. They are all from Guwahati University, and all, I think, known to all of you. So we need to keep on working towards things like, we need those small ice-breaking sessions in between, which is going to keep the interest going, plus videos, plus pictures. We are all human beings. We need all of that. So all of that together brings us together, always.
I have a question.
Yes.
Webinar mode of teaching be
Yes.
an alternative to
Yes.
conventional mode of teaching. Can it be an alternative? Can it replace the conventional mode of teaching? What will you say? Should you go for webinar mode of teaching or go for a blended mode of teaching?
You can never go for one type of teaching. A teacher needs as many tools as possible in his or her hands. So webinar is one additional tool of teaching. It is not a replacement of any teaching methodology. It is never, nothing is going to be a replacement of any teaching traditional methodology. Traditional methodology is the umbrella under which different various modes of methodology has now come in. Webinar is one of them. I'm sure in the next 20, 30, 40 years, there are going to be so many. Now, artificial intelligence is coming in. Tomorrow, maybe we're not going to be speaking in webinars anymore. AI is going to take over. So it is never a replacement. It is always an addition.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. There are some other questions which you have already addressed. I don't think that I need to ask these questions. You have already addressed these questions in your lecture.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I would like to here put in a thank you to Dr. Ram Bhise, who was here. Dr. Ram Kishan Bhise, thank you so much for being with us today. And Dr. Nanjoti Hazarika, who's been
Thank you.
moderating this session. And I especially, from the bottom of my heart, wish all the participants for being wonderful participants. I can see a lot of comments coming. I'll read each one of them. And my email can be shared with you. And you can always send me a mail, and I will always see to it I reply to each one of you. Thank you for being, and I want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. A beautiful season of joy is just around the corner. So let us all begin this season of festivity with a lot of smiles, laughter, and knowledge shared. Thank you so much. Thank you, ELTAI.
Thank you, ma'am. It's really very wonderful session, ma'am.
So
Yes, over to Dr. Ramkishan, sir. Dr.
thank-
Ramkishan, sir, please take over.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Burnali Bhuyan ma'am and Nayan Jyoti Hazarika sir for moderating the session. And ma'am, thank you for the wonderful session. So I hope everyone enjoyed the session. The link for the feedback form and certification is posted in the chat box, so you can respond to it. So every year, ELTAI organizes a pretty prestigious annual conference, and next year's 18th International and 54th Annual Conference of ELTAI is going to be held at Royal Global University Guwahati, and the topic is exploring languages and literature for evolving pedagogical practices between 23rd and 26 October 2024. So plan well in advance to ensure a smooth and enjoyable experience at the conference. I request Mr. Kevin to share the poster of the conference.
Thank you, Dr. Bhise. This is from Royal Global University. I'm Professor Bhuya, Dr. Burnali Bhuya, where I invite all of you to Assam. Many of you may have visited Assam, many of you may not have visited Assam. Please come to our beautiful state. Next year, we are holding this international conference, 54th annual conference and 18th international conference, exploring languages, literatures for evolving pedagogical practices. We are hosting it in our own university. So please come, be our guest, enjoy Assam, enjoy Guwahati. There are many things to see here apart from our university, and there are many things to learn in this beautiful international conference that we are going to host, and it is being held by ELTAI. So I welcome you all, each one of you. This is a personal welcome note to all of you. Everyone who's been here today, I welcome all of you to come and visit us next year. Please register as soon as the registration opens and be with us. Enjoy our university. Let us see how we can host you, and I will personally meet each one of you. Just let me know that I was in the webinar, and I'll be there in front of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Mr. Kevin to share the poster for the next webinar. So our next webinar is on 28th January 2024 on work-based learning and emerging trend in Q12 education. And speaker for this webinar is Mr. Megha Juneja, Indiana, USA. I request Mr. Kevin to show it on a screen. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kevin. So before we conclude, I would again like to express my gratitude to Dr. Burnali Bhuyan ma'am, resource person for this webinar, Mr. Hazarika sir, and special thanks to all the participants for joining the webinar. So thank you once again for being a part of ELTAI webinar series 117. Stay connected, stay engaged, and keep exploring the world of English language teaching and learning. And we are looking forward to having you in future sessions. Continue to enrich the ELTAI community Have a great evening ahead. Thank you everyone. You can respond to the feedback form, which is already posted in the chat box. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Kevin.
everyone.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Everyone can leave now. No?